To come on for this reading of St. Luke, 10th chapter. Hello, you all. My name is Vanessa. Welcoming you all in for the live. I thank you as you're coming in. Thank you for being here. I want to ask this question that's on the screen. Who is my neighbor? And some will call this the Good Samaritan parable. And it is, because that's stated down in verse 33, in the first line of verse 33 of chapter 10, the Good Samaritan. But we also see the question is posed in verse 29, the last stanza of 29. And who is my neighbor? So is St. Luke. Let's start off at verse 25 of St. Luke. And again, thank you all for coming in. I didn't make an announcement. It was not scheduled. Nothing was scheduled for anybody to know that this live was going to happen. Just impromptu. And thank you all who watches this on the replay. I appreciate everybody who visits this channel. And you all hit the like button if you find anything that's encouraging or anything that's of value, anything that's challenging. Because even if it's challenging, no change happens without a challenge. So I hope that you all don't receive anything on this channel as hate. It may be challenging, if anything, but we're coming from the Word of God in St. Luke. And hit the like button so it can move throughout the algorithm, and leave a comment if you choose. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? Now, you remember that a rich young ruler asked the same exact question. So here's Jesus giving the same answer that he gave the rich young ruler who asked this question, what must he do to be saved, is what the rich young ruler asked. In verse 26, he said to him, what is written in the law? How readest thou? Asking him what is his interpretation of the law, or his understanding. And he said, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. Same answer that he gave the rich young ruler. And he said unto him, thou hast answered right. Well, the lawyer gave his own answer. And verse 27, this is the lawyer answering the question, his rhetorical question. And Jesus answered in 28, said, you answered correctly. In verse 29, but he, willing to justify himself, said unto Jesus, and who is my neighbor? That is the infamous question there. Who is my neighbor? You hear a lot of people say, do you all say it? I've heard people say, if you ask them, do you love everybody? And they say, I don't know everybody. How can I love everybody? Well, here's an answer that we're getting ready, because it's synonymous to this question here. And who is my neighbor? So put that question, replace that question about do you love everybody, because they could both fit right there in that same thing and have the same answer from Jesus. So he's getting ready to give the man a parable. In verse 30, and Jesus answered and said, a certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment. They wounded him, they attacked him, and they left him for dead. And by chance, there came a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side of the street. And likewise a Levite, when he was at a place, came and looked on him and passed by on the other side of the street. He didn't want to be involved. But a certain Samaritan, just a private citizen, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him and bound him up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the morrow, when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee. Which now of these 3 thinkest thou was the neighbor of him that fell amongst thieves? Of 3 people that came by, and Jesus is asking the lawyer, which one do you think was the neighbor? So Jesus gave him his question back. Answer that for yourself. Who do you see as a neighbor? Did it need to be somebody? What is worship? What is worship according to Old Testament readings? That, to my understanding, is worship is your lifestyle. Worship is also a praise unto God, because people can go in public assemblies, in their places of fellowship, and they call that worship when they're singing. Also, you can worship in your home and singing. Wherever you are, you can get worship. But in the Old Testament, worship is how we live, how we honor God in our values and principles. Can God deliver from addiction? Absolutely. And don't have any hesitation that he can. God can deliver from anything that the human can encounter. If you believe in the Holy Scriptures here, it says that Jesus was tempted in all points, but he did not sin. And but he was tempted. Keep that in mind. He was tempted for whatever could be a mind-altering substance. He was tempted, but he did not partake. But he had to become the perfect propitiation so he can deliver mankind from whatever mankind is tempted by. So an addiction is something that's grabbing hold of your soul, of your body, and you got a craving of it. So if it's holding on to you, you can get loose from it, but you got to go through the steps of doing the work. You got to pour in the work. You got to pour in the work. Anywhere it says he can't, I'm not sure what that's asking when you say anywhere it says he can't. Can you worship Satan? Of course, people can worship Satan. Everybody have worshiped Satan. Even confessing Christians have worshiped Satan. Satan, according to the scriptures, is the god of this world. It's in philosophies and psychologies, and not everything in philosophies and psychologies now. You have to weigh it according to the scriptures, principles, and values. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. Any mind that's turned away from the living God, any mind, any thoughts, any values and principles of God is about values, principles, and morality turned away from God, then that's serving the little God, the God of this world. Let's keep going. We're talking about who is your neighbor. Who is your neighbor? So we just read 25 through, let me go to 37. I didn't read 37. And he said, he that showeth mercy on him. Then said Jesus to him, Go, and you do likewise. So he commissioned the man. He said, now we've established who is your neighbor. You asked me a question. I let you answer your own question. Follow the laws first. Love God with your whole heart. We saw that back at verse 27. Your whole heart, your whole soul, your whole mind, all of your strength. You got to give all of you to God, not half. Not give him your speech and not your mind. Not give him just your mind and your speech and not your heart. Everything's got to come into connection. An earnest attempt. An earnest pouring in everything you got. Everything you got. Pressing in to love God. Now when we start to love God, and no human is special to know how to love God. We all got to walk and do the same earth homework. It's our earth homework of giving all of ourselves unto him. So just like we give all of ourselves to a whole lot of other things, we're divided in our attention. Then we got to center ourselves and give all that attention to God. So The man answered his own question, and Jesus helped lead him into answering his own question. So it became a rhetorical question. He said, now, after you've seen all these examples, who do you say is a good Samaritan? Who was this man's neighbor? It was the person who acted. It was the person who was willing to step out of his comfort zone and help. I heard a man, I heard on a man on YouTube, and he was talking about referencing Donald Trump attempted assassination. And the man said, what Donald Trump needs to do is go to the hood. And he needs to get about 30 to 50 guys. And they could be black or white. It don't matter. Go to the hood. And put some people to put a team together. And that won't ever happen again. Because the hood will protect him. And he ain't got to worry about that attempted assassination. Those hood guys will protect him. Now, how serious the man was, I don't know about that. But we're talking about a good Samaritan. The man, and lots of people, I saw another YouTube video where a motorcycle club was saying, we're protecting. So people are speaking up and speaking out, saying, if the Secret Service is not going to do their job, then there's people out here who really cares about Donald Trump, and they will protect him. They won't let him fall. Now, you're talking about somebody and private citizens speaking up and said, we'll do it. Call on us. Now, we're talking about the federal government. There's protocol. These are just private citizens who want their voice to be heard, and they said, if the paid agents are not going to do their job, now understand that there could be some fallacies and there could have been error, but those things have to go through their proper procedures of investigation and addressed correctly, and so that there could be a change in action. But going back to the YouTubers, these are just private citizens, American citizens, saying if one agency or one group of people is not going to do it, look toward another sector. So would you say that this is good Samaritans speaking up? Would they be people who say, I care about my neighbor? Because we're all citizens here together. Who is your neighbor? Who do you say your neighbor is? Your neighbor is anybody, because we saw two people pass by this person who had been beaten and left for dead on the side of the road. One was a priest, one who's supposed to be someone who cares for the laws of God, administering over the laws of God and teaching other people to be good deed doers in the community. And the priest passed by the man in verse 31 and didn't help him. Didn't check on him to see if he was all right or anything. Just passed on the other side of the road and said, this don't concern me. And here's another person that said, a Levite, did the same thing. And somebody, just an average Joe, just passed by and said, let me help you. Get off these streets. Took and went further. Put the man up in an inn. And told the inn taker, if you need more to help take care of this man, because he's going to be maybe here for a while, a couple of weeks, whatever you spend on him, I'll take care of that. I will take care of that when I come through again. Just see to him that he's okay, that he has what he needs, whether that's clothing, food, shelter, whatever he needs, I'll do it. So Jesus is saying, when we see a need, are we willing to? Because we don't have to, if we don't have the money to pay to put somebody in a hotel. Maybe you can network how to get a person in shelter. Everybody have different lanes and strengths in their capacities. Everybody's networked some type of way where they can help somebody else. Let's go back to that question, do you love everybody? And many people say, I don't know everybody. How can I love them? But should we have to know people to love them? Because this is Good Samaritan work. That's all love is to lend a helping hand to your fellow human if it's within your ability to help them. And if it's not within your ability to help them, are you able to network, point them in a direction where they can get some help, give them the resources, tell them where they can get some help? All that's good Samaritan work. Just help how you can help when you can help. It's basic stuff, random stuff. Not somebody, well, I like you, so I'll help you. Well, you can benefit me, get me to the next rung on the career ladder, so I'll help you. Well, you're in my social circle, so I'll help you. Do all of that too. But what about the stranger, somebody who you just randomly come across? And that person look like they might be in need, or you overhear them talking about a need, and then you're able to respond. That's the people who we love. Every single human on this planet, whether you know them or not, we shouldn't have to know a person to love them. Love is respect. Just respect your human mate because they're human. If you can't find nothing else to respect them for, because they breathe. Because they breathe, and they're in the human species. Good Samaritan work. Good Samaritan work. So Jesus' concepts, they're very simple. We make life difficult. We make life complicated because we put partiality standards on things. If a person fits this mold, then I'll help. If a person fits that, then I might consider them. But that's not the way of the living God. That's not the way of the living God, is to wait to see who's going to be a decent person, who's going to be somebody who I say they're nice and they're kind. I say that they're a contributor in society. I say, so now I'm putting my judgments on them. I'm putting my standards on them. So somebody else their life needs to meet my approval. Well, what if my life don't meet somebody else's approval? Everybody don't meet everybody else's approval. So who's going to help who? Where does this help come from? That's, in a nutshell, that is a good Samaritan. That is how we tell who is our neighbor. That's the answer. That, dear Watson, is the answer, not the question. That's the answer. Who is your neighbor? It should be in there and everybody you come across. They don't have to look a certain way. They don't have to wear a certain color. They shouldn't have to be in a certain height. They don't have to have a certain social economic status. They shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to have a certain educational background. They shouldn't have to have a certain smell. They need to smell pleasant when they come across you. They shouldn't have to have nothing except they are a human being. They're a human being. All these other standards that we all put on things, that's our standards, but know full well, just like the man said about Donald Trump, he said, go to the hood and get some people, because everybody don't hate you, sir. Everybody don't hate you. And those people will protect you. That little incident that happened, that won't be happening again. You ain't got to worry about it. That's what the man said. The motorcycle club folks said the same thing. Come looking for us. You ain't got to worry about it. Come on now. Talk about their neighbor. Whether it's a politician, somebody who's working in these public official offices, these are neighbors. It don't matter what a person have to do for a living. They're our neighbors. We're all each other's neighbors. When we take all of our titles off, take all of our aloof off, take all of our high importance and low importance, the big I's and the little U's, take all of that off, we come back down to who is your neighbor. Donald Trump is people's neighbor. All the politicians, President Joe Biden is his people's neighbors. We should be protecting and caring for our neighbors. Thank you all for coming in on the live. If you all have a question, because I still have not figured out how to see the questions after I end the live. So I apologize if you send a question and I don't acknowledge your question. I'm not ignoring you. The questions is going away when I end the live. Thank you all for coming in. And again, hit the thumbs up, support the channel, hit the, give a comment if you like. If I see it, I will address it. But if you send it in the live, in the past, it goes away. I don't see it anymore. Thank you all for coming in, and I'll check with you all later.